that is, their political entities or their political parties. We have 4 political parties on the set this evening, and we have with us the Secretary General of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Barrister Mve Christophe Ndong. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, televiewers.
And we have the coordinator of the CPDM Academy, Professor Elvis Ngole. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
There is Barrister Mo Walters Bente. He is the legal advisor of the Cameroon National Citizen Movement. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. I prefer to be called Mo Walters.
Mo Walters?
Yes.
Okay. I'll call you Walters for the sake of the debate.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Okay. Then another usual face on the program, rather on CRTV, Dennis Kemlemo. He's the Communications Secretary of the Social Democratic Front. You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening to fellow panelists and televiewers.
Okay. I'd like us to start with a simple question. Cameroon's education today, how do you see it? I'll begin from you, Dennis.
Cameroon educational system today is a very serious disappointment seen from what it is producing. Cameroon's system of education today is noted for placing emphasis on certificates rather than know-how, and that explains why there is a lot of unemployment from the youths who come out from the universities, from the secondary schools, from primary schools. In fact, as we speak today, the ordinary level certificate is almost becoming useless. It has just become a transitional certificate, because when you have ordinary level, there is nothing you can do with it. Practically on the field, that's why most of the youths, even A levels, they need to go to the university, because they feel that it is from the university that the degrees can a little bit start counting. The second thing, and what accounts for this, is that there is a complete mismatch between educational curriculum and the job market.
Okay. Okay, I would like you to stop at that. We'll come back to it more detail. Walters, the education system in Cameroon today.
Yes, Joe. Our Auguste Comte, who is the father of sociology, said human development is largely dependent on education. And if we consider education as a means of transmission of our cultural heritage from one generation to another, then we cannot talk about education without talking about learning or socialization. But unfortunately, we have a very good educational system that is based on paper. No good professionalization LMD program, but practical implementation of it is where the problem lies. And that's why I dare and accept with people who believe that Cameroon is a country of very good laws on paper, but hellfire of implementation. So we have a problem with application of good educational reforms that already exist in the country.
Professor Ngole, the educational system in Cameroon today, from your perspective.
Yeah, Joe, I would like to say in all honesty that the campaign that our party, the CPDM party, is going to run on the occasion of the presidential elections of 7th October is going to be a campaign of integrity, a campaign of truth based on facts and not sentiments. And so when you ask the question, how is the educational system, I beg to disagree with my good friend Mr. Nkemlemo to say that.
Can you just state what it is there?
The educational system in Cameroon is among the best in Africa, because all statistics that you look at, no matter what book you take, you see that if there is one area in which Cameroon has done very well as an African country, it's in the education sector, because over the years, our leaders, including President Biya, who is the candidate of the CPDM party, has taken education as a serious priority, to the extent that Cameroon is counted among the top countries where the literacy level is quite high because of the fact that the public policies in the sector of education have been policies that have given great priority to that area. You'll see that almost in every subdivision, if not in every village in Cameroon today, there is at least a primary school or a secondary school. That was not the case 50, 40 years ago. You can't imagine a country that within a period of time has moved from 1 state university to 8 state universities.
Okay.
From
I want
very
you to brush
little
through
private universities to more than 200 university level institutions. You have to say that this is a country which has done well in this sector.
Okay.
And for anyone who,
all right,
who
it was just a kicker.
It's a kicker.
Christopher,
Yes,
Cameroon's
Joe.
education today. Your first
My impression
look through.
My impression with the educational system today is that which massacre the Cameroonian youth. Minister Ngole is talking here of Cameroon being the first, the second in Africa. It is their days. If you look at the educational system now, it has been juxtaposed, confused. We don't know whether we are learning in English or we are learning in French. In fact, it does not augur well. The system is that which has to be revamped, revised, and put the actors on the table to be able to give the best education that the children need. 2 years down the lane, you realize that even the GCE results, the composition, the arrangements, get children, our children, write these exams. In fact, they never had proper training. Number one. Number two.
No, don't go into details yet.
You will understand that when the minister is talking, he's talking about structures. We are talking about the content, not the structures. We know the government in place has put a lot of secondary schools, a lot of high schools, a lot of universities without buildings, without the sufficient teaching staffs. You see, we still fall into the same situation where people are half educated. We cannot seem to say that today in Cameroon the educational system is the best. It isn't, because we are crying both in the Anglophone section and in the Francophone section for a lot of loopholes in the educational system.
All right.
We need to revamp that sector.
Okay. I'd like us to turn to Chris Atam. He did an overview of what the educational system in Cameroon today is like.
Cameroon's sector development goals place a lot of importance on education. Developing the education system to ensure the training of solid citizens adapted to the country's realities and capable of creating employment and wealth has always been a major priority. To achieve these goals, policies have been geared towards developing infrastructure, promoting professionalism, and increasing school attendance in the country. As far as the school attendance rate is concerned, the challenge for Cameroon has always been to reduce the discrepancy in school attendance between the north of the country and the south, encouraging the education of the girl child and reducing the rate of school dropout across the country have also been major objectives. Concerning the north-south discrepancy in school attendance, the government has been working to reduce it over the years. Education priority zones have since been created in parts of the country, including the northern parts of Cameroon, to stimulate education. The recruitment of PTA teachers, the distribution of the basic minimum package, and the improvement of school infrastructure form part of government's drive to stimulate school attendance in the northern regions of Cameroon. These efforts have boosted the primary school attendance rate to about 90%, according to 2015 statistics. Concerning girl-child education, serious networking and education campaigns through government and civil society networks and the gratuity of primary education across the country have been helping to redress the situation. Concerning the professionalization of education, sustained efforts are being made to render Cameroonian schools and universities oriented towards the training of graduates who can adapt to the job market after school. The valorization of technical education, the adoption of the BMG system in state universities, the creation of professional courses in medicine, engineering, and computer sciences in state universities, as well as the creation of specialized schools to train civil engineers, telecommunications experts, and technicians in agriculture, form part of government's drive to promote professional education in the country. The increased awareness and scramble for professional master's degrees offered under the tutelage of Cameroon's state universities and the over 200 higher education institutes indicate a slight shift in the paradigm of education and training in the country. For school attendance and professional training to yield dividends in the national economy, adequate infrastructure and adapted training equipment must be installed. Although Cameroon can boast of a minimum of basic training materials for technical schools, existing health, telecommunications, and construction companies provide modern equipment which some training schools are already using after signing conventions with such structures. Sustained efforts are being made to encourage vocational training in Cameroon, but it goes without saying that more is needed to place students up to par with present-day realities.
Thank you, Chris Chiatam. Now, Dennis, when you listen to Chris Chiatam and he talks about what has been done in that sector, what's your reaction and what do you think you can add which is not in existence today?
My reaction, I will first of all react to what Prof said. When I quote him, he said we have the best system of education in Africa. Wow. And I was very much taken aback with that statement. That is coming from an educationist, because what is the measurement of the quality of education we have is the development, because education is the engine of development of a country, because those who develop and move the country forward are fabricated or molded within the educational system. If we were to have the best, if we had the best system of education, as Prof is saying, Cameroon would not be at the level of development in which it is compared to the fellow African countries, which according to him have worse system of education than us, but which are very advanced in all aspects. That is I just wanted to react to that. Then coming to the footage that was just shown.
The footage.
The footage, thank you. I saw that, like Prof, the emphasis was more on school attendance. And we have our candidate, Joshua Osei, has a complete breakaway, a new paradigm for education, because the quality of education does not depend on the multiplicity of school institutions that are created, most of which are created without infrastructure and with very deplorable situation. We, at the level of, we don't agree with that in the report that was just made. And we want to say that to better education, we have to, first of all, promote state-of-the-art technical education. They were talking about increasing emphasis on technical education. But when we look at what is happening on the ground, what they call technical education is just the buildings, teachers, and a lot of what is done in technical schools today is theoretical. And most of the time we have seen that even teachers who teach motor mechanics, when they come to your car, most perform worse than guys who learn motor repairs mechanics in the garages. Okay. Because the work is so technical, the work is so theoretical, so technical education, emphasis will be on state-of-the-art equipment. It will be on practical work on the field, engineering, and not theorizing and depending on textbooks.
Okay. The government, like from that report we got, has offered free education at the level of nursery and primary education. You have more than that. I want to thank Walters.
Yes, Joe. I think we of this CNC party are people of truth. We will not come and promise paradise here to Cameroonians. That's why I'm very happy to sit in a panel of people that Cameroonians have tried before. And since lies telling, because of demonic possession, have made us to believe that when we sit in Yaoundé and we talk about education, because we're privileged to go to universities on scholarships, and today, instead of giving back to this nation and the younger generation what we receive, we eat the seed, so there should be no fruit, so as to make our way, our families and our population who are doing something. It's unacceptable. God is the creation of humanity, of Cameroonian, and if we had given the devil a chance and lies telling a fundamental principle, time has come when such things must fail. Okay. What education are we talking about, Joe, here? When schools are not going on in some regions, when teachers graduate from École Normale and must go on street after staying for 2-3 years and be pumped water before they can receive salary. Can we have effective education when the teacher has not eaten, when the teacher has no transport to go to school? What is happening?
Okay, I'm asking you the question here about free primary
education. We need to make primary and even secondary education obligatory, provided there are legislation to punish parents who have children of school-going age and keep them back home. Okay. Free primary education when PTA levy is 100,000 francs. What do I choose? I prefer, when I went to primary school, I went to government school, I was paying 7,500. When you say it's become free and I pay PTA for 17,500 or 7,500, is it free? How free is the education? When the system fails, let's accept, repent, and give God a chance to rescue us. This system of President Biya and his administration have failed us. They have a very good vision.
Okay, that moral keyword which President Paul Biya used.
No, that's a different thing, Joe. I'm very sorry to say so. That one is a very different thing.
Okay.
Rigo and moralization.
Yes, that's the one.
That is a word coming from a boss. That says go. But we're talking about moralization from a leader. That's a let's go.
Okay, what's the difference between a leader and a boss?
President Biya is a boss in Cameroon. He has hospitals in Cameroon, but he has never been consulted to have a paracetamol day too. So he tells you go to the hospital, but he does not go there too. He has schools in Cameroon. He himself nor his family members do not enjoy the advantage of those schools. Yeah. And his ministers here, special schools at the presidency, where his children will not be able to go through the taxi we have gone through to know how hard life is hard in Cameroon.
Okay.
If his children were to enter a taxi, like our children, go to school, they praise you, you stand at cathedral there for 5 hours and go home. He'll come and tell him that these things are not going well. That's a man that we expect to lead by example. So he's a boss and not a leader. Let's go is the language of a leader, which Defoe Afanyi Franklin is bringing. Because he has grown from the system, he's part of it, he knows what it takes to stand at Carrefour Emir for 5 hours waiting for a taxi and be beaten by your father, thinking that you were drinking somewhere, whereas you were waiting for a taxi. Such a man that have never lived Cameroonian educational system can never bring us something good. That's why for 36 years, nothing.
Okay. Minister Ngole Ngole, as somebody on the job, yes. The CPDM is on the job, and you talked about the increase in higher education, particularly at the level of the private sector. But one thing about education is that the cost of educating children in the country is becoming increasingly very high.
Indeed, that is a challenge indeed in as far as educational policy is concerned. But it's a challenge everywhere in the world. How do you finance education? But it's a continuing challenge, and we're all concerned about that, and I think that's a concern all over the world. But I would like to begin by saying that what I really said was that Cameroon has got one of the best, it's among the best as far as educational policies are concerned. I still stand by that, because you can check history books, you'll get, or statistical books, you'll get that. Now, Mr. Moore just said here a few minutes ago, you understood him that President Biya's policies there is a good vision. If you follow him, they have a good vision. There are policies based on a good vision. And I agree with him on that. Look, President Biya's policies, the policies which he wants to continue through the will to reform, to improve on, because he believes very strongly in making every Cameroonian literate. He believes in making every young boy, a young girl, no matter what village or what hamlet or what quartier you come from, to have a chance to be educated. Because as the famous, and may he so rest in peace, African icon or world icon, former South African President Mandela said, with education, that is the weapon you need to change the world. Believe you me, we should be proud of ourselves and be proud of what we have achieved, because look, here are the statistics. Cameroonian educational system, in spite of the challenges, has been attractive to children and persons and citizens from other countries around us who have come to school here because they find our educational institutions and educational policies attractive. Look, there is no doubt that we have challenges, we have difficulties. There is no way where you don't have that. Really, and they are driven by reform initiatives. Reform at the level of policy, which is driven by reform. There is reform at the level of primary school. Now there is reform at the secondary and the high school levels. There is reform at the university level. And so, today, in our higher education system, there is not only the system, but you also have professionalization. Because over the years, I've seen that in order to bridge the gap between professionalized education more and more, this is what you are seeing now in Cameroon.
There are many who are criticizing the professionalization option because they say it's extremely costly students from poor parents.
There is no doubt about that. That is a concern. But see, one way of meeting that concern is that you create that we had in the 60s to 8, and you try to make sure that private initiatives can also create higher level university institutes, so that those who are not able to go to the state institutes, which are generally cheaper, primary institute, and try to make ends there, or if you cannot, you can still always go back to that. Look, I studied in the United States, and this concern about financing of education is a permanent concern. Those children, as a matter of objective, as a matter of policies, President Biya has shown and is still committed to, and he still demonstrates the will to transform the Cameroonian society through reformed education, so that every Cameroonian family can be able to say they can afford an education to their children, so that at the end of the day, our country will continue to remain one of the societies in Africa, one of the countries in Africa with among the highest literacy rates. That's something we should be proud of. Not many countries have that statistic.
Now, we do agree that many Cameroonians are literate and many Cameroonians go to school. But the point about which many question is that many go to school and don't have jobs at the end, and that discourages many people from sending their children to school, and they prefer to turn and say, okay, you do some menial job or you get into the farms. So now the problem about professionalization and higher education is the cost. We do agree. And is your party proposing something in place of that as we look forward to the presidential election?
Thank you, Joe. You see, the Cameroon Renaissance movement is headed by a professor that has taken all his time teaching, I think, a cross-section of Cameroonians today. And we have viewed the educational system, honestly, it is come to a landlock. It's porous. It can't continue. And the government in place knows that they can't shift any one bit. You know, you cannot tie the educational technology now and that of the past years. Things have advanced, things have changed, and they are too old in such a way that they can't meet up with the modern times of technology. Professor Maurice Kamto, in his program, has has discovered that the education we have had for the past has ended Cameroonians to become Benskines. You know, the chairman of Benskines in Cameroon is the head of state, President Paul Biya. That is known. It's not me talking, because he had received them, encouraged them, and you find the Benskine activities going on. The children that have been educated in Cameroon by this government with first degree, master's degree, all the degrees you can think of, which we know how some of them equally end up having those degrees, they are riding on Benskine. The job market, it is not there commensurate to the half big education they have had. So Professor Maurice Kamto says, when he gets to power, if he is given the opportunity by Cameroonians on the 7th of October this year, the first thing is to revamp the educational system, which he thinks that the educational system in place is that educational system that was put in place to train administrators, armchair administrators, to replace the colonial masters. They have come to the crossroads and theirs have ended. Today we have modern technology in education, and he has decided that for those people, he will not forget them. He will make sure he creates in all 58 divisions of the Republic technical and vocational training centers, higher educational training centers, so much so that those who are already having these certificates and training in other fields, who are unable to have employment, can be able to undergo training for a short period of time. Like somebody who have done mathematics, you've done law. If you want to become an engineer, it will take you just 1 year to do a short training with this training center to be able now to change from what you were, a mathematician, to an engineer. So you see, it will now help.
Is it not what the government is doing?
The government
vocational fees and SAL and so on and so forth that we have.
Excuse me, the government is not doing what we are saying. The government, I've told you, have created those centers, but the centers are not. They are not producing.
Okay, you will make them operational.
We will make them operational. Okay. That's what we are saying, and we shall increase them in all 58 subdivisions.
I'll come to you shortly.
And again, we say we will have to make sure education is given free from nursery to university, to high schools. Free education for children to be able to learn modern technology. We have to bring technology closer to the...
Have you looked at the cost and how you finance that?
Yes. Financing is not a problem, as said by our leader, Professor Maurice Kamto. If you imagine, Minister Angola is here. He travels abroad on a plane, 6 million from Cameroon to France. 6 million is too much. He can take the business class, which will cost Cameroonian government 3 million. 2.8 million equivalent to 3. 3 million would have been saved to be able to finance some of these projects we are talking. You find them having fuel for 4 million a month. They are doing what with the money? Where are they going to? They will leave their house to their office and park the car the whole day. Every end of month they have 4 million. We say that one will be cut down. We have businesses in this country where they, because of politics favoring the CPDM, has made people not to be paying tax. We say all of that will make sure the tax system so that it is adequate for the business people to operate. The environment is conducive. They pay their tax normally, and they are. You see, excesses of the money we shall cut will be able to finance all of this.
Right?
All of this. It's an interesting project.
Yes, on paper.
Professor Maurice Kamto has.
Yes.
It's not on paper. Because we are not yet in government. We are saying that this is what we shall implement. And that will go to solve the unemployment problem, the educational problem, and keep the country and the economy moving smoothly.
Okay. Dennis, how does the education today, or what you intend to implement, Cameroonian, the young people today have a lot of challenges because the world is becoming increasingly very challenging in terms of education, and these children have to fit themselves in the world of today, beginning at home. So how do you intend to move these young Cameroonians to be able to fit themselves in the challenging world of today?
Very good question, and that brings me to the point of Prof and the status quo. That is the CPDM, that in the 21st century, in 2018, the emphasis for them is still on literacy. If we take, nobody here is saying that we have not created so many schools, but these schools are they are still based on the goal of literacy. Prof, your party and your candidate should know that education has gone beyond just literacy goals. We are not talking of how to read and write, how to have general certificates, most of which our educational system is neo-colonial, it does not focus our needs, and that's why there is a lot of unemployment. I have seen, and the televiewers observe with me, that the rest of the panelists on this table are not for a complete rupture. Some want to maintain the status quo as when Prof says the best system. There is very little improvement when it's already best, and the others try to say they can improve on the system, but we are on a complete rupture. That's the difference between President Ossi's policy on education and the rest, and that brings us to that question, which is very interesting. When you talk of the challenges in the modern world, the world has gone digital. And that is why President Ossi places the digital education at the center, because we don't need to carry bags of books.
With what the CPDM is doing now, and what the president did with the computers that he gave to
that is, in fact, that is, if that is what we call,
is that not a good start?
It is a terribly bad start.
Okay.
It is a terribly bad start because computers do not create the environment for digitalization. Digitalization is a whole technology that needs internet, state-of-the-art internet. And when the state-of-the-art internet comes, it needs the equipment and the network that creates a network to work digital. It is not just going and using state money to buy a few computers, which are even terrible, and then giving to the students and telling them that is a gift. That is the first point. The second point is that when we talk of emphasis on technology, on science and state-of-the-art technical schools, it will mean that general certificates, general education will become de-emphasized, and it will become less important, and we will develop technology and do investment on research, especially in areas that have to take care of local problems. It is unheard of. That's 58 years after independence. We still import all the drugs that to treat tropical diseases that we suffer, and those who don't have that diseases, we depend on them for those drugs. And when they come to Africa and get the raw materials and get our medicinal plants and transform them and sell to us at exorbitant prices, when we can work with our able traditional practitioners, most of them who are very performant, we can train them, we can make it a science, and then be able to, the most lucrative industry in the world is the pharmaceutical industry, because it's an industry where everybody is a customer. And we have the best medicinal plants in Africa and in Cameroon especially, but we don't make use of them. Those who don't have, are not blessed with those natural resources, come and take from us. So when we talk of professionalizing education, developing state-of-the-art technology in education, we are not talking of literacy, Prof. We are talking of education that the curriculum, the content matches with the needs of the people, and so it is a whole completely different paradigm.
Yes.
It is not an improvement of the existing situation. It is a rupture, a complete rupture.
At the level of the CA party, how do you intend to prepare the children to face the challenges of today in the educational sector?
Joe, like the people of truth, I am a product of the educational system in Cameroon. I'm not the best, but I don't think I'm too foolish to that extent to find myself here. If you are somebody who wants to go somewhere, the person you follow determine what will follow you, and what you do to others will be done to you. We have seen lapses where a younger generation that have seen challenges faced by our educational system. But let's celebrate people for what they have done, and we know that they have tried, but trying is not enough, because the best is yet to come. That's our policy. We have not come to tell Cameroonians that we are worse and pretend as if we come from a different continent. It's unacceptable to do that. Let's tell Cameroonians the truth, so that we have militants in Cameroon. We don't have militants because of this lies telling. I love the SDA policy, but they will not transform Cameroon into a traditional society. Where are we getting to? And these are people that have run elections over and over. I read even through their program, I heard one of their candidates is going to annul a NAM. Has he ever been to a NAM before? How do you know a NAM that you've never been to and want to wipe it off? No. Let's be honest to ourselves. MRC is a product of the CPDM party. Maurice Kamto is my lecturer. He taught me Pope International Law. He had been Dean of Faculty of Law and Political Science. He had all the knife and he had to improve on the system. What did he do? He was given a chance to have been promoted to serve like a minister in this nation. Did he come up one day and say, my allowances to travel abroad is too much, I want to cut it down so that it go down as an example, but only now that he wants to be presidential candidate, become a demigod? We need deliverance in this country. His wickedness of first-class Joe.
Okay,
and we of our party are saying that these people are Cameroonians. We are not coming to drive them. There is a demon of corruption pushing them to sin. We will deliver Prof and use him. Prof need but deliverance, not change. We will deliver Maurice Kamto and use him. He will be a good minister. There's a demon that has possessed people in Cameroon. We are not bad people. And since we had abandoned God, we don't believe in ourselves. We have a principle of unfair command. That's where we find ourselves. And that's why we have God's candidate, a prophet that has been sent and has grace that can silence this disgrace to rescue us from this mess.
Okay.
Whatever we're doing now, we don't acknowledge that it will fail. All these good programs have always been there, Joe.
Now, when you say what you say, I'm tempted to ask this question.
Yes.
Your prophet or your candidate has been praying for Cameroon, right?
Yes.
Do you think he would only deliver Cameroonians when he gets to the presidency?
No. He had prophetic words for this nation and has told those who are concerned, not just once, not just twice. And this time around, the challenge is you have been praying for Cameroonians. Now God says, go and do what you think others could have done. Take over the challenge. And scripturally, no one have ever fought a battle successfully alone. The people are good, but under bad leadership because they have been possessed. He is coming in to say, you cannot build Cameroon without moralization. When you educate an individual who doesn't fear God, they become a demon. Joe asked me, those who are creating disorder in the northwest, southwest, extreme north fighting among ourselves, is there somebody there who know about forgiveness? Who believe God can do wonders? Is there somebody there who has a good job and has abandoned his office? How many ENAM graduates and higher economic graduates are cessationists? No. Unemployment because of bad governance has pushed people to find themselves desperate. And he's coming to say, we want to transform our educational system into one where people can come out of school and have certificates that reflect what they can do. Transforming it from job seeking to job creators, self-reliance and independence. That's what we need. But if we want to carry a sense of Cameroonians, I went to school. Joe, I can assure you if I bring my report cards here, you'll be sorry. Very good report card from nursery school to university, but jobless. Where am I heading to? So we want to tell Cameroonians, gather those report cards and bring. Prophet said, I will give him. Go and give your President Paul Biya. Either we'll have good report cards with job, or we'll take your report cards back and allow us jobless and know that we have nowhere to go. But God created this nation, gave us life, but wickedness has placed us under darkness. And that's why deliverance will even start here with people like Prof. So stop defending evil. It's unacceptable.
Let's just take over from where Mr. Moore has left off. You see, I mean, the good thing about this discussion here is that we've just listened to Mr. Moore. You know, someone once told me, and a very important personality in this country, that when you are in politics, you must believe that there is a law, and that law is not made by you. That law is not written down. And that law is what he referred to as the first law of politics, which is whatever you do, you must put God first. So when I hear Mr. Moore talking, I mean, we think on the same wavelength, because under God and with God as your inspiration, we can go far. And I believe that this is what inspires the policies of President Biya. I give an example. Let me just...
have you been praying in the CPDM?
Of course, we pray, not all as individuals, we pray as a party who believe in God, because God is the ultimate power in this country, and God, all power comes from God. But what I wanted to say about this educational system that Mr. Nkemle Moore just talked about, which he doesn't want to appreciate and to give credit to, is that, look, we shouldn't develop a complex about ourselves, about our society, just because we want people to believe in us. I said earlier that the CPDM campaign and the CPDM candidates campaign, meaning President Biya's campaign, is a campaign of integrity, it's a campaign of honesty, it's a campaign of truth. Look, no matter whom you call it, all of us, we are products of the Cameroonian educational system. We should be proud of that. Even if we've gone further to all over the world to be whatever we are, doctors, engineers, and so forth, we have to appreciate the fact that we were given the first dose by our mothers and our fathers, our government, our missionaries who were here, and our private entrepreneurs who set up educational systems. These educational systems were the foundation, and that foundation has continued, and whatever we are today, we shouldn't forget and try to condemn what actually made us what we are today. The Cameroonian educational system, I still repeat, is known as among the best. I'll give you another example, Joe. See, because of President Biya's concern and priority to make this country an educationally literate country, literate in every sense, in skills, literate in knowledge, literate in know-how, literate in reasoning. See, Joe, today, lots of Cameroonian women today, both in the rural areas and in the urban centers, are computer literate today. The level of computer literacy in Cameroon today is so high that Cameroon has to be the envy of many countries around us, because here you are today because of the fact that the educational system has opened up to the world of they call it the digital economy.
Yes. Now
everyone is attracted to it, and government policies encourage it to the extent that you find even rural women today who are computer literate, something you couldn't have imagined 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Okay.
That's a good thing for us.
From the picture you paint,
skills.
From the picture you paint,
yes,
it looks quite bright.
It doesn't mean that we are perfect. But
yes,
what I'm trying to say is that we are honest enough to say there's still a lot of work that is going to be done, and that is why President Biya is still a candidate, because he has the will to transform.
Yes,
because he wants to transform the country more and more in the educational sector and in other sectors, because he has already begun doing that transformation.
Yes,
he's already transformed Cameroon.
Yes, I like the way you fade out, because I would have asked you the question that in spite of the bright picture you paint, there was this classification of African universities, and we did not feature among the first 100 world universities, so to speak. So we didn't feature, but that doesn't matter. You concluded on a very good footing that there's still much to be done. Now, so where do we go from here in the education system?
In fact, I will have to react to my co-panelist, Mr. Moore. He is the first God man I've met in my life that is so arrogant and violent in public, and talks as not a God man. I don't know. You are not representing. You are not a replica of the man of God, the prophet. You are saying
the spirit just entered me.
Yes, you were fetched by the spirit, so you were fighting. You were fighting the spirit. Thank you, thank God, you were fighting the spirit. That's good. So I will forgive you for all the declarations you made. I will first forgive you.
After your deliverance.
Yes, you should know that the man of God came into politics by started telling something that we don't know.
You know him already.
We don't know the truth.
You know about how he came already.
The first thing he said, God sent
you. Can you answer my question?
You know my candidate more than me. You know him already.
When you were talking, I was not talking.
Okay, thank you.
Give me the time to talk about your leader. Your leader came in.
Talk about your leader, not mine. How do you know my leader?
When you talked about mine, I want to reply.
He's my teacher. Who is my leader to you? Your pastor?
I said, listen to me talk to you. And until you are patient, if you are not patient, you will not listen to me.
No, just hold on.
What I'm saying
is my teacher. I know him. He's watching me now. He can call to challenge what I'm saying. I'm his class delegate. I've been selling his books in the university. He knows me.
Then being your teacher, you are able to say that you are able to say that he is working for CPDM government.
He said not. Who gave him the status he is?
That's good.
Minister of the CPDM.
If you don't want me to talk,
let's not bite the finger.
It is my time you are spending. Listen to me.
No,
the God man came to the political scene and told the world and Cameroon.
Yes, you people have been able to
and told the world and Cameroon.
No, just wait a bit.
Okay.
Let me give him the opportunity to speak now. You've exchanged a little bit, so it's okay. That's part of the discussion anyway.
The God man came to Cameroon and told the world and Cameroonians that God sent him. It's something still to be checked whether God sent him.
After the 7th of October,
the results of the 7th will tell us whether God sent him.
I like that.
But what we are saying is that every political leader is a God-fearing political leader, and God has used him to do what he can do at the time he wants to do it. Professor Maurice Kamto too is equally a man of God.
Those are people drinking blood. Drinking blood, not blood of Jesus. He need deliverance.
Please,
sorry, Joe.
Walters,
Sorry, Joe.
We will come.
You have
come
an
to
unruly
that.
behavior.
Sorry, Joe.
No, we'll come to
I
that.
thought they said
People
you were a
watching
lawyer.
us,
I
I'm
thought
telling
they said
him
you
to
were a lawyer.
repent. He need deliverance.
I thought here they said you were a lawyer. You should have that respect for decorum in this place.
We're not in court.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You should listen. When we're in court,
Please.
one talk, the other listen. If you begin to make like that, I
We
don't think
respect procedures.
Do you address
We
yourself to
respect
court?
procedures.
Do you?
In court, we respect
Now
procedures.
listen. Do you always address yourself
Please,
in court?
Walters.
Sorry, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yes, okay. But
You are unruly. Be unruly.
Can you conclude?
Nah, I'm
still in control.
He has chopped my time. I will
Yes,
get my time.
Yes,
sufficiently.
I'll give you your time.
I'm saying that Professor Maurice Kamto
I did that deliberately.
has a good
Allow you
program
to speak to each other.
for basic education, bringing basic education free to Cameroonians, and of course, playing the higher education with emphasis on technological development. We have today computers, we have internet. He will be able to create those centers in higher education, educational structures to be able to enable the students to go through their computer, do their studies online, be able to communicate with other students and people in other countries, of developed countries, in order that education will be facilitated. My friend of the SDF said there will be no need to be carrying books all over the place. It is true. The world has become a global village, and studies too are facilitated through modern telecommunication. That is what the Cameroon Renaissance movement shall put in all higher institutions to enable the children have easy access to study and research, and again create centers for technological development where they can go there, be able to carry out research and invent and be creative, in order that it will help to develop the Cameroonian citizen tomorrow, in so much that he will be able to compete with a student or a citizen from America, from India, from South Africa, or from wherever.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Not that a Cameroonian citizen is backward because the system in place could not be able to give him the availability of internet, availability of the technology required for him to carry out his studies. We say all of this will be granted to the children of Cameroon, those of school leaving age.
Okay.
From nursery to university.
Thank you very much. The government of the day has introduced structural projects. You know what structural projects are, and they say that this is going to trigger a lot of trigger the economy, bringing entrepreneurs, and to be able to help revamp the economy and to give jobs to the younger people and to provide energy for those who want. And this, by 2035, Cameroon should be able to get to where they have been talking about now, being an emerging economy. That's what the government of the day says. That's the CPDM. Let's see what the proposals which they have been doing in the past 7 years in terms of structural projects, which if you come to power on the 7th of October, you will build on what they have, the foundation they have laid. Joyce Kimbi-Fuajum put in place this report on the structural projects which the CPDM government has been able to realize thus far.
The past 7 years will certainly mark the history of Cameroon as the period that witnessed tireless efforts by the state to set a solid base for sustainable industrialization, with giant structural projects sprouting in almost all parts of the country and nearly all used sectors of the economy. The transport sector is amongst them. The ultra-modern Kribi Deep Sea Port is already attracting giant vessels from across the world. The edifice has decongested the Douala Seaport with over 4,000 jobs projected as commercial activities went operational since March 2018. Still along the Kribi Deep Sea Port, an industrial complex is being developed to create industries, boost growth and create multiple jobs. In addition, a cocoa transformation factory is being planted along the Kribi Deep Sea Port. Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, also prides itself as one of the beneficiaries of the structural projects. The first phase of construction works of the east entrance to decongest circulation into Douala is completed, and the second bridge over the Vuri River has moved from yesteryear's dreams to a reality. Its complete and final reception alongside its access road from Daido is programmed for the 19th of September 2018. Circulation on this second bridge over the Vuri is fluid and business now booming, as time that was wasted in traffic jams on the bridge is a thing of the past. Government in the past years has equally embraced the notion of double carriage motorways in Cameroon. The 20 kilometers Yaoundé-Simalen double carriage motorway is well advanced in its construction to ease access to the international airport at Simalen. Construction of the Yaoundé-Douala double carriage motorway is at 62% executed, with the first phase of 60 kilometers almost completely tarred. Construction work on the multi-lane motorway to access the Kribi Deep Sea Port from Lolabe is at 85% finished. In the energy sector, Cameroonians are certainly not unaware of giant hydroelectricity projects like the Lompanga, Memvele and Meking and others, which are striving to bridge the demand shortfall in electricity supply in the country. As concerns the Lompanga Hydro Dam project, the construction of a 45 meters high reservoir dam, which was the first phase of the project, has been completed. Storage capacity is 6 billion cubic meters of water, and it has been operational since 2016, boasting the capacity of the Songlulu and the Edea dams. The foundation stone of the power plant, which is the second component of the project, has been laid and is expected to produce 30 megawatts of electricity, mainly for homes in the east region of Cameroon. The other hydroelectricity projects are equally near completion, and the powers that be are working tooth and nail to get transmission lines functional so that energy produced by these dams can conveniently get into industries and households for use in Cameroon. As concerns the disenclavement of rural zones, communal and farm-to-market roads in the country have either been rehabilitated, constructed or maintained. This to ease the transportation of farm produce to the market. Without being exhaustive, these infrastructural transformation-driven projects are proofs of Cameroon's irreversible march towards the sustainable growth of its industries and economy.
Okay, let me begin with you again, Dennis. From the picture which Joyce paints, the structural project should be able to form a good base for our industrial takeoff subsequently, because energy is a very, very important component. But one thing about what is happening in the country is that in spite of all what government is doing, we haven't gotten to a point where unemployment has been brought to minimal, which means that unemployment remains a key issue amongst the younger people in the country today. How do you intend to address that?
Yes, why I tell you how we intend to address that, I would like to make this comment that I almost thought that I was in one of these miracle churches in this panel. Then I discovered that I was on the television debate on presidential election.
You did not fall.
And the youths out there take note of the fact that the representative of candidate Biya has said that the educational system is very good. The frustrations that they have gone through that education is because they are the ones that are useless and not the educational system that build them up, because we don't understand how the state of the art system of education will bring this type of millions of employed school leavers. Coming to your question, you realize that we live in a system. The system that President Osei wants to break away from is a system of dupery, where we use high-level rhetorics to paint what is very gloomy to be bright to Cameroonians through what the media does, the power of the media to do that. You see, one of the things that you have raised, it is a fact, a very strong fact that you raise, that these so-called structural projects are supposed to be an impetus to employment, but it is not the case. And the reason is simple, and it is unfortunate that in
there are major inputs.
Yes, in 2011, Joe, this is very important for Cameroonians out there to make the choices that they have to make. In 2011, during the 2011 presidential election, candidate Biya, at that time, a candidate, came and promised, all these were election promises, that Cameroon will be a national workshop and those projects will be on. They will deliver those projects. 7 years after, none of them is complete. None of them is operational. And with the billions of hundreds of billions, why not thousands of billions that have been buried in, and none of them is operational, none of them has created the necessary wealth because it's not operational. He comes and repeats the same promises that he did in 2011. Cameroonians are not duped. They take note of that. That is point one. Point two, when these so-called structural projects are financed from abroad, from loans from abroad, second, you take the example of you borrow you take a loan from the bank to build a house, to get into the house, to run away from rents in order to have a stable economy, but because of embezzlement and misuse of that money, the loan money finishes and you start paying interest, I start repaying that loan, but you are still under rents. That is why there is this problem of economy, this serious problem that you have just raised. Then the third point is that when Mr. Biya took over in 1982, he took over from an emerging economy. We are an emerging economy built by Ahidjo. Today, 36 years after, he is telling us that he has brought us back and start talking of emergence in 2035. When he took over an emerging economy. These are facts that Cameroonians down there know. I wanted to make that situation analysis first before I tell you that we will not work on this, because it is an aberration that when you take the money from foreign partners to build those things, you hire foreign labor. The companies are foreign. All the money that is put into those projects is transferred capital. It goes back to, it doesn't benefit Cameroonians, because it is foreign companies that gain the market, what they call contracts to build all those projects, and the billions go to finance the economy. And finally, this stadia that we are building all over, you imagine that even the concrete was imported from Italy. These are the reasons why those projects do not generate money. They circulate, boost the economy, and employment rises. And we are saying that the first thing that President Joshua Osei said he would do on the 7th of October after being elected is to make us regain our independence. So we have our real autonomy. And that real autonomy will mean that interest of Cameroon will become primordial. We will not be using state services to finance foreign economy. We will have monetary economy, and that monetary economy, because if you have somebody who does not have control over his money, there is no way he can generate a type of wealth, create the necessary wealth that will finance development without depending on foreigners. It is unheard of that in 2018 we are using a currency where a country which is neither using that currency nor a shareholder in that currency, he has powerful veto power. Okay. This is what will put a stop to, and it will be able to carry out the general investments.
How do you intend to tackle the unemployment problem in Cameroon? It's a major issue.
Yes, Cameroon have signed so many economic partnership agreements with conditionalities. We are aware with the terms, and we cannot transform an economy when we don't value the place of industrialization. We have projects that have been earmarked in this country, not just one. But unfortunately, the terms, since we depend, not to repeat what Comrade Dennis said, Cameroonians have job opportunities through our project which are limited to the work of night watchmen. We have our Palais, the sport here, that through one of such partnership agreements were constructed by the Chinese authorities. It's a factor of development we accept. But those who maintain this stadium are not Cameroonians. Cameroonians are limited to be cooks, agents of transmission to go to Bangolan, since the people don't know how to get to Bangolan when they want to get there. Are those the type of job opportunities good for this nation who will have projects sponsored from abroad? No. Before even talking about those structural adjustment programs, where is the place of private sector in Cameroonian economy? It doesn't exist. Intentionally for political reasons. Why? Because if we liberalize our private sector, which is what we intend to bring in, people will no longer depend solely on the government to have what to eat. And the government has willfully allowed everything to depend on the public sector, on the government, so on them, so that when you lack, you don't have what to do, they tell you when you get hungry, you come back and join us. And that is what has become the order of the day in Cameroon today. How far have we gone with the Millennium Development Goal we started with? Has hunger finished? Malnutrition, education, women empowerment and gender, infant mortality, poverty, that one is no longer a story. We create new words and terms on a daily basis. Is it structural adjustment programs?
How do you intend to tackle that?
We will challenge it by cutting down what makes us spend much money, so that we can concentrate on projects. Like the number of ministries that exist, they are too much. Higher education, secondary education, Ministry of Education. Prof can be our Minister of Education and work well. Must we have 10 ministers before we work well? These ministers have allowances, they have vehicles, they travel on missions, they have secretariat funded by the money that ought to be used to finance these projects. There are so many things we put money into which are irrelevant, which if curved down or narrowed, can permit us finance our projects and create jobs to Cameroonians to be able to feel the impact of all these projects. So those are things we are supposed to do. Secondly, we need to give room to experts to be able to have their play. Cameroonians do not value what is at home. If a book is written by somebody from abroad, it's good. But when I see Professor Ngole is a Cameroonian, I know him. So he doesn't have title. When I see Emile Durkheim, is perfect. And that's what is happening here. Let's celebrate us. We have engineers, the technical schools we have in Cameroon. We train products from those schools, but we can only recruit them to carry gravel and put inside trucks for experts to use in carrying on projects. Is that how you develop a nation? In making those who are for expertise, in borrowing expertise from abroad, whereas the one we claim after having pumped so much money to train them in educational sectors are not useful. We want to reverse the system. That Cameroon should start consuming their products, beginning from human resources. The ones we train, we use them. We have so many engineers who are Cameroonian, and the ones who are abroad, will bring them back home to be able to contribute without imposing very difficult conditions on them. Because this government is looking upon Cameroonians and those engineers abroad like traitors, those who come and overthrow them.
If my mind is not failing me, I got the president at one point say, let's consume Cameroonian.
Yes, that's a good thing.
How much of Cameroon?
How much of Cameroon does he consume? Does he drink charmate in does he eat fufu in Cameroon? Does he go to hospital in Cameroon? What does he eat that is Cameroon based?
Does he consume?
Does he take his race in Ayaba Hotel in Bamenda or go to Ndawara?
Does he visit?
Is it only in France?
In Cameroon?
Does he enter taxi by surprise and stroll around Central Town as a free man?
He spends most of his time out of
the country, and those are things we don't need. He is a rich man. We want that money to be spent within Cameroonian economy. But when the head of state strolls and go towards Central Town, he buy yogurt, chocolate. He will not be fighting to take 100 francs like change. People will feel his impact. Those are things we need.
That's what you'll be doing?
We will do it.
Okay.
Monthly accountability to the people, not ruling people in a distance.
Okay.
We have a presidential communication in Cameroon instead of ministerial council. You, Joe, you accept with me here that the Minister of Economy, Programming and Regional Development, even if he has something to tell the head of state, he is not used to his president. Because the president met with 60 ministers in 10 minutes after 3 years. Is it Prime Minister that appoint ministers? If the ministers have grievances, should they not address to the head of state who appointed them? Prof is a witness here. He's not used to his president, apart from the fact that he's a member of Central Committee. You know what I'm saying, except you want to lie. How can you manage people when you are not close to them? Those you appoint, you define the policy of the nation, and economic policies are part of those policies.
Okay.
And the ministers that are supposed to help you execute it are not answerable to you because they don't see you. Are you a God that seeing you, your boss is a mistake or by accident on ceremonies?
The Prime Minister is there to coordinate.
The Prime Minister appointed, the Prime Minister too was appointed. He didn't give leadership by proxy.
Okay.
Legislative by proxy, like I said already. We don't want such leadership.
All right.
That's what we want to bring in our generation.
To take cue from Mr. Moore Waters, it is first I would like to, correct my friend Mr. Nkemnomo by saying that I didn't say that the faults or the problems in the educational system are due to the students. I'm one of those as a teacher who is proud of our young people who are going to school because they really are not only energetic and creative, but I think that they're hardworking. I mean, these young men, boys and girls, when I see them from nursery all the way to universities, I'm always proud of them because I know that it is through that effort that you'll be somebody tomorrow.
Prof, are you proud that your students or university degree holders from the university are bike riders? They are doing call box on the street.
No,
are those the students you are proud of?
No, with all due respect, this is nothing new. I can tell you that as a PhD student at the Denver University in the United States, during the holidays, I washed plates.
No, we are not talking of makeshift jobs. We are not permanent jobs. That they are on the streets.
No.
Without their certificates, you are proud of it. No, it is good to. Yeah. I want Prof to look at this.
The problem of unemployment is not a Cameroonian phenomenon.
It's not a factor of education.
It's not a Cameroonian phenomenon because in other countries that are more developed than us, you still have a problem of unemployment. You know this. I'm not an economist, but we all read that in countries that we know are developed, unemployment is a problem, and the managers are public policy makers try to solve it.
We are not talking of zero unemployment, but the degree to which
Dennis,
the state of Cameroon, the government has continuously engaged in hiring young graduates from the university. You know this. All of us know, if we want to be honest, and we have a representative man of God here. Thousands of young people have been hired in Cameroon in order to try to solve this unemployment problem. But as I said, unemployment problem is not a Cameroonian phenomenon, but it is a problem that our economic policy managers
are not a factor of education. I want you, Prof, to say that it's not a factor of the system of education.
When they get to where they want to get to,
I don't know why you are dodging from that.
I'm not dodging. I'm trying to say.
Is it not a factor of the bad system of education?
No, it is not, because in other countries
so it means that it is the school. No. Use that
no. Unless you want to say that France has a bad system of education.
And the level of employment in France is compared to that of France.
You know there's unemployment there.
Is it the same as France? Are we at the same level of France?
We are not the same level, but don't make unemployment as if it's a Cameroonian phenomenon. It is not. It is not a Cameroonian. And unemployment is not a Cameroonian word either.
I agree. I agree. But the point is the degree of unemployment. You want to compare it with that of France?
Let me finish my turn.
Dennis, can you allow him to finish?
Let me finish my turn. The point that I want to make here is that, as I said earlier, our campaign and the campaign of President Biya, the campaign of the CPDM candidate, is one of integrity, one based on fact. We only want to be honest and be factual. One may agree or disagree. Fact is fact. That's fact true. Of the matter is this. You talked about these structural projects. This, I mean, my friend, my good friend, Mr. Nkemnomo said, "Oh, they're not complete." But we should tell him that Lompanga is complete. We should tell him that
the
seaport is complete. We should tell him that the second bridge of Douala over the Vuri is complete. But these projects, I agree with you, they were meant to generate employment. And we shouldn't forget that. These projects, when they are contracted and they are going on, yes, we do it in partnership with foreign investors who have either loaned us money or have are partners, or they are
foreign firms that have the technological know-how.
But these foreign firms are not like have invaded us and have taken over our country. No, because in every country where you have foreign investors who come in, this is very normal. That's why there is a concept called local content in many countries.
Transfer of technology.
Local content. That, yes, for a time, these foreign partners, when they come in, naturally they will want to bring their people building this or that because they are new. But with time, as the local labor learns and so forth, technology is transferred, know-how is transferred, and at the end of the day, the employment will be Cameroonian employment. It will not be Chinese or French or Italian. No, we have to understand that we are living in a liberal economy, and that as a liberal economy, sure, you have to deal with foreign partners. And when you deal with foreign partners, don't talk as if you are and you live in an isolated economy. You don't. There is nobody who can live in an economy where you don't deal with outsiders. You have to, and you have to be able to know that with time, it's a question of time.
Okay.
You will
okay.
be the master of everything.
Exactly.
So don't assume that because you have foreign partners now, you have to drive them away or that they are bad people. They are not bad people, because in every country in the world,
there are
which is an open economy, there are foreign partners. Exactly. And these foreign partners, they have their own foreign content, but that foreign content is mixed with the local content. What's important for us is that President Biya said at the beginning of his mandate, and I still think he's faithful to what he said, that he's going to transform this country into a work site. They call it a chantier national. This is what we're seeing everywhere in Cameroon.
Okay.
Nobody doubts that.
All right.
There is chantiers everywhere.
Okay.
And some are complete, some are not complete. Let us give credit where credit is due. Before 7 years ago, did you have these chantiers? No.
Okay.
So you should say
all
that
right.
he was honest,
Let's
he was faithful, and he wants to continue to complete this because he knows better. He knows this file better.
Okay.
Than
let's
many
turn
others.
to the CRM, the unemployment problem in Cameroon.
Yes.
How do you intend to tackle that?
Professor Maurice Kamto is clear on how he has to tackle the employment problem. You see, the employment situation in this country, we have categorized them. We have, Cameroon is not industrialized, and so we are into agriculture seriously. During Professor Maurice Kamto's recent trip to the northern regions, we discovered that the people of the northern regions, like other regions of the country, are purely farmers. And of course, the method of farming they are doing is rudimentary. And now we are saying we will have to develop the agricultural sector.
Something which the CPDM has not seen.
We see people suffering in that domain. We are saying that we shall ameliorate the condition of farmers to be able to give them the necessary assistance in the Kamto's government to be able to facilitate agriculture, which is the backbone of our economy. We shall develop it. When we got to the far northern region, we discovered that the farmers suffer a lot. The farmers in the 3 northern regions just need barely water to be able to carry out agricultural production, which in fact will help create employment in that locality, the 3 northern regions. They are hard-working farmers there, but yet they don't have the means.
We don't have as much
they don't have the means. They are not being accompanied.
Like
they are not being accompanied. In fact, they are suffering. And what we are saying, we shall start with that sector to develop the agricultural sector.
And that will create a lot of jobs.
In doing what? To be able to make water catchments. Try to bring water nearer the people to be able to cultivate year in, year out. We have so many things to be cultivated that can create employment in that area. The people are very aware. Now, in other countries too, in other sectors of the country, like in the northwest, southwest, you have the east, the south, it is still agriculture. So we are saying we shall put a perfect accent on agriculture to be able to give them agricultural products that will boost their agricultural production. We will not leave them. Mr. Joe, don't cut me. It's as if when I take the, it is only when
just go ahead.
Let me finish my time.
I'm asking you follow-up
on the agricultural sector. Right now, we shall accompany them with inputs like fertilizers, like giving them some loans to be able to have even seeds. We'll have centers where they shall be producing good breeds for seeds for them to plant. We accompany these farmers, and when you help them out, then now we shall make possible a means where government will be buying that product. And of course, we cannot do this perfectly without looking at developing the network road system, road to farm, farm to market roads. We have to develop the road infrastructure to be able to allow these farmers, when we would have encouraged them in agriculture, made them create employment, they will be able now to deepen their minds in agriculture, harvest, and be able to sell. The government should be able to buy in order to give them the resources to live.
You mean create cooperatives
we are saying,
so that they can...
like cooperative, we encourage cooperative societies which will be buying. We will now subsidize these cooperative societies to encourage and boost the agricultural sector. That is the plan of Professor Maurice Kamto. We will not only leave it there. We shall be able to try to see how the second stage of industrialization look for industries that will come and process those goods, those farm products, to be able to sell on the spot, not having difficult roads to get the product out of the bushes, and now they will carry it to Douala, Yaoundé for processing. It's not correct. We can be able, the government is capable, we have that resources. We say we shall give the resources to the people, develop the processing of those products coming from the farms, in order that the local markets will only transport the finished good transformation, of the product. Okay. And we are saying to generate employment does not end only there. We shall be able, in the Kamto's plan for the next government, come to 7 October 2018, we shall be able to partner with Cameroonians who are in the diaspora. Many of them want to come and invest, but the climate is not conducive for them to come and invest. You know, the system now in place, you bring your money to invest, they will need 50% of your capital. It's not normal. From bribes to ministers to this, if you don't give me, I'll not sign for you to operate. We know that it's not a hidden secret. We say we shall
try.
We say we are encouraging Cameroonians in the diaspora. They have the technology, they have the money, the means to come and invest. We shall encourage them, lower their taxes, grant them even exonerations for them to operate. This will create employment. Not only employment, it will help now to train the local Cameroonians who now tomorrow might become technicians to the field where the person has come to operate. So that is what we are saying to do to create employment. And now, you see, our civil service is old. We have so many people. So many people. It is old. People are ripe for retirement. They have not gone anywhere. They are stick to their positions. We'll say we'll give them a desired rest retirement. They go. There will be room now for more youths to be recruited so that employment is created. We cannot block the youth not to climb, to develop, because the old people are there, not willing to leave their positions. That is what we are saying in the Cameroon Renaissance movement. And you see, with all of this, you see, it will generate employment that you know. And now we cannot do this employment.
What's the percentage of those you would send on retirement for youth to come in, for example?
It is not, we don't do things by favor. If you arrive for employment, the civil service is there. We shall scrutinize the civil service and see all those who arrive for retirement. They should go and even take up this farming process we are talking about. They can open big plantations and recruit more people in the villages. It will help give employment and leave space for other young ones to climb up, and we recruit more to enter the civil service. That is a way to create employment. It is no magic. But when the old people are there, over 60% of them are there, they cannot shift, then there is a problem.
It looks like you don't have good statistics. In terms of those on retirement.
On retirement, they will leave the place for others to come up, and it will create employment. I'm saying that's a way for employment. Okay. We shall now, besides that, we are saying we shall train our Cameroonian brothers to be able, when they come out from their training centers, from schools, they are able to find those jobs available that will accommodate them, in order that they create employment, take care of their families, and you find the economy booming. Okay. That is the economic plan we have for Cameroonians if Maurice Kamto is voted on the 7th of October 2018.
Thank you very much. Very nice I'd like us to move on to the hot potato.
One minute.
Yes.
I think that it is important to note here that under President Osei, the economy will go digital, and that will develop the private sector and make them take their rightful place in the creation of wealth. Because in the present status quo, it is the public service and public servants that create wealth. The richest Cameroonians are now civil servants, and will make it known that if you are ambitious to create wealth and make money, a lot of money, you go to the private sector and not in a public service. Because the word public service, you are a servant and not there for money making. And we'll have to suppress also a lot of wasteful institutions that bring us. We talked of ENAM. We also talk of the suppression of the Ministry of Public Service. The Ministry of Public Service have no role to play in OC's government, because every ministry is handled by civil servants, and there is no need to create another ministry called public service when each ministry can handle. And that's why we are suggesting of breaking down the number of ministerial positions to 16 rather than the present 60 that we have today.
Okay. If you permit,
I just wanted to
just interject by saying that Mr. Nkemlemo just talked about digital economy under his candidate.
Yes.
But in all honesty, in all fact, the author, the promoter of the digital economy and digital technology in Cameroon is called President Biya. And he still wants to make it.
I don't understand
further.
that. Are we digital in Cameroon?
He who introduced the digital technology and the digital economy in Cameroon is President
computerized election.
That's his program.
From voting to proclamation, you refuse. We say we should computerize the civil service.
The whole world knows that.
And he wants to Cameroon economy digital, Prof? And they are listening to you out there.
The digital economy.
You are already in the digital economy in Cameroon.
Okay. That's his agenda.
Let's move to the security.
We are being listened to out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are already in a digital economy.
Can we move to the security situation in the country?
Yes.
And when we talk about the security situation in the country, we most likely turn to the northwest and the southwest because of the crisis which have been going on in that part of the country. Let me ask you a question I've been asking to almost all of the candidates. What do you intend to do if you come to power on the 7th of October?
The situation is a very terrible one. And incidentally, all of us sitting around this table come from the hot zones, the 2 hot zones. It's a very sad situation. And unfortunately, it's a situation that if we had a good government, if not of the terrible bad governance that we have in this country, we would not have arrived at this situation. The first thing that candidate OC, President OC, will do as the head of state of this country is he has declared that in his government, in a Cameroon ruled by him, there will be no political prisoner. He doesn't believe in punishing political opponents by putting them in prison or putting people in prison because of political issues. Because what is happening in the northwest and southwest certainly is a political problem that has been turned into a military problem, and the northwest and southwest has been militarized. So the first thing is he makes it clear that since he will have no political prisoners in his country, he will liberate everybody who has been charged and imprisoned for the political upheavals that happened in the southwest and northwest. In fact, he will give the northwest and southwest population the Seseko and all the others that have been arrested because of that. That is the first thing. The second thing, he says his first decree will be, because candidate OC, President OC, does not believe in a military solution to this problem. The first thing he will do is he will sign a decree withdrawing all the military to the barracks. And the military go to the barracks. He will follow up by creating a conducive atmosphere for real dialogue, all-inclusive dialogue that everybody has asked, but the candidate of the CPDM, with his monolithic mind frame, has decided to impose his own logic by even saying that the form of state is not under negotiation. He has made it clear, and he has stayed within his logic, and so many thousands have died, so many have been displaced because of one man's arrogance and monolithic approach to things. Okay. Candidate OC, President OC, this is extremely important.
It looks like all is important.
Of course, because we are talking of human lives that are being lost and continue to be lost. Candidate OC or President OC will as I said, start with the reconciliation process, because we talk of in our Marshall Plan peace and reconciliation.
You did make mention of that.
No, I didn't talk of peace and reconciliation within the pattern of South Africa that just came out of apartheid system. Because what we have in Cameroon now is apartheid. And so when we will take over, we will initiate a process of peace and reconciliation within the pattern of South Africa, so that everybody will come to the same, rebuild the national trust among each other, so that we believe in belonging to one nation, no matter the divergence of our opinion. This is very important. It is very dear to us, and OC is a candidate that will stop this war, because he knows the problem, and he's a victim of the problem, first of all as an Anglophone, so he understands it very well, and Cameroonians surely will give him the mandate to be able to stop this atrocious war.
Thank you, Dennis Walters. The crisis in the northwest and the southwest, what do you intend, if you are given the mandate, the first thing you will do?
Joe, the Americans will always tell you America first. The Chinese man will tell you we are the center of civilization. A German will tell you Germany after all odds. Whether you come from which part of the nation, we're Cameroonians. And if we come to that point of recognizing or accepting the fact that what people are going through in the northwest or southwest, even if you are not yet touched, it is touching you because you are not well informed to know what's happening with you, then you are not a human being created by God. We need to come to a point of self-realization that we need one another, no matter how bad. And that if things are bad the way it is today, it wasn't like that 10 years back. And in the nearest future, things can be better than how it is now. And we cannot come to this point when we don't know how to pardon one another. When I say I am hurt, Joe, ask me what have I done to hurt you. But when I say I am hurt and you say I have not hurt you, you create emotions, provocations. And that has pushed us to where we are today. We will love to tell people that when you use the blood of people to get to power, you drop down in the same way. It is unacceptable that there are people in this nation who are living this crisis. They told Cameroonians on this platform that there are no problems, and it provoked anger on people who are going through problems. But I'm happy the way the head of state handles some of his issues. He allows you to go back and solve the problem you created that never existed. Lies telling push us into this. When somebody commits an offense, instead of punishing him, this government promotes him. We've seen that in this crisis. And I'm doubting whether these persons, how do they feel? Do they feel Cameroonian?
How do you intend to solve it?
We intend to implement the truth. To reward meritocracy, not criminality. This government has promoted criminality than meritocracy. How comes we have a minister of territorial administration in this nation solving Anglophone crisis who said there's no crisis? Joe, you and I, let's be honest.
No,
for Christ's sake.
He's not solving the
Yes, but he's
crisis.
placed at the center to coordinate what he said does not exist. And when you tell people like that, and you who send people that can mediate, not those who have been vomited by the people to face them, who tell these people, we know what you are going through because we are victims. As young as I am, you get to my house, Joe, there's no place to enter. I put my trousers on, people are sleeping there to go to school. Am I not suffering the consequence of that crisis? And how can you tell me, if I'm given an opportunity to rule this country through my candidate for Afanye Franklin, I will take it lightly when I'm suffering the pains? But there are people who are not going through the pains. Where they are comfortable, they are feeding on that crisis. That's what is happening in Cameroon. And I want to believe, having learned the lesson from the ravages of war, Darfur, South Sudan, the one in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, what is happening now in the northwest and southwest? Armaments are being produced, and once they are produced, they must be sold. And the most organized business in the world, the demand and supply of arms. It just suffices for the 8 hours to make demand, you receive supply. And will make our nation to be a place where people make money to sell arms.
How do you intend to handle
reinforce security at our borders so that these arms that are entering can be tracked down? How are they entering? Punish forces of law and order who, instead of representing the government to protect human life and property, become party to it, creating more tension. The law needs to be, social justice needs to be implemented in Cameroon. Sensitize the minority towards majority. That's what we need. Justice, fairness, and that cannot come from a man that doesn't have a good heart. A bad behavior is a product of a heart that does not know God. I don't mean church, God. Sincerity. And that's why we believe we are the best in this situation, because all the other 9 candidates have tasted at one level or the other. Power,
you mean
administration, governance.
How would you be able to do it when you've never done it before?
But as I'm talking here, am I a journalist? Don't I talk well, Joe? Must I come to here because am I not talking well? Do I not talk Cameroonian problem? Must I be an expert in doing a wrong thing to be affected to be a mandatory person? It's not how long you do, you are wicked, that makes you a rightful person.
Okay.
Must I not begin somewhere, Joe?
I see.
Or are you of the opinion that...
No.
What are you telling me?
No.
I have a mandate. I listen from God. God is backing me. Everybody here will vote me. You will be surprised.
Okay. I see.
And you know what... And I will work with them. I'm not coming to open an island. There are good people in Cameroon we need, but they need good orientation and coordination. That's why all is not bad. Let's say so from the beginning. But they are bad. We have a bad leader. And he's forgotten that we are not under the dispensation of age. It's grace now, not age. Age is not on time, is not on the part of President Biya to pilot the affairs or to resolve Anglophone crisis. A man, how can he first have time? He need to go to Norway and Southwest. You and I, when you go to Akwaya, can you move there and come out freely? You expect President Biya to go there? How? He doesn't have energy. He says Prof to go to Southwest. Why will Prof go and tell them? Prof will go, the people who know him because of familiarity will say he's the one that is staying. You're not knowing that he's facing his own crisis too. He's not free. We're all become refugees from our various zones. I need a man that is anointed. We have moved around these places and organized crusades. We've delivered people. Presently, a crusade is going on in Buddha. You think if I go down to that same place where my pastor is delivering people who tell them climate change will not accept me?
I thought you would have been talking about the crisis.
But you are part of my party, Joe. Then you are part of it. Good proposal. Crisis means people are angry. They are not ready to forgive one another. They take arms upon themselves. But the fear of God and pardon will make them drop arms.
Okay.
Because God has the final say, and they believe that with God all things are possible.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about here.
All right. Thank you very much, Walters. Prof,
Yes.
you people have been, the CPDM has been handling the problem,
Yes.
and it seemed not to be abating. So what next?
You know, I mean, because all of us are inspired, because we are God-fearing, and I'm sure Mr. Mo will be quite happy that we say this.
I like that.
We have to say that because we fear God and we believe in God, no matter what faith we belong to, it is important to base our appreciation of the question you've just raised on the fact that, look, all of us on this tribune here,
On the set.
are either infected or affected by this problem, this unrest in the northwest and southwest. In one way or the other. And in all honesty and in all good faith, we should say that yes, indeed, it's sad, and for once I will agree with my friend Mr. Kemlo. It's sad. We are sad. It's sad because at the end of the day, and Mr. Mo said it also, I mean, look, we have to learn to understand that we are assets to one another. We are not perfect human beings. We all make mistakes, and whether you are in government or you are outside of government, you will make mistakes because you are. There's no other human species except us.
Okay.
Therefore, what I see here, unlike what others will say on this set, and from what I hear, instead of spending time blaming everyone and everybody else except you, we should begin in all honesty by saying that, look, we are lucky that in Cameroon, in spite of all that is said, that we have a leader, a president of the republic, who is imbued with a moderate temperament. He's open, he listens, he's tolerant, he's patient. We need these qualities, these personal qualities. Had we not had President Biya with these sort of qualities, had we had something else, probably what we are talking here now is not what we would have been talking. But we should be thankful to God that we have a president who has gone down on record and has said that he understands the pertinence of the Anglophone problem and therefore the unrest that has been going on for almost 2 years, and that he is a willing party. He's willing to talk. He wants to dialogue, as long as that dialogue is in respect of the law.
The question on dialogue has been coming on and on.
Yes,
but we haven't had.
You know why the dialogue doesn't look like it is real? It is because, look, for dialogue to become useful, meaningful, and real, it needs people who are willing. And to be willing, you have to allow your emotions and your passions to get off.
Okay.
Not to take the better half of you. Therefore, those who are making dialogue difficult are those who have said the only way you can get forward is to take up arms. Look, let us give dialogue a chance by dropping arms, and you'll see what dialogue will do.
Okay, Christopher, how do you intend to handle it?
Yes.
That should be almost the last time you're talking.
This is a very sad situation. I agree with co-panelists. And in the Cameroon Renaissance movement, Professor Maurice Kamto is very clear on the Anglophone issue. There is a serious Anglophone issue, and that issue has to be resolved. So he's telling Cameroonians that they should give him the mandate come October 2017. The first thing he will do is to move to the Northwest and Southwest regions. In fact, beg on his people to put down arms and wipe their tears. The damage has been done. We'll lament on what has happened and we stop further killings, and then sit to listen to these people. Now, he says the first thing he will do is to make sure these Anglophones come together, put their problem on the table. He will listen to them and in fact debate the issue and then come to a consensus, then take a decision on the Anglophone crisis. He must stop it. He will stop it when he comes to power.
Okay.
And he will call these brothers and sisters who are in the forest, languishing, to come out, that there is a new dawn. Call his brothers in Nigerian refugee camps to come back. And he has said he will grant a special financing for those whose property, houses, businesses have been destroyed, to rebuild and then gain their businesses to take life up once again. He has said he, Maurice Kamto, will make sure grant amnesty to those of our brothers who are out there to permit inclusive, all-inclusive dialogue, which now the people will decide the form of the state. The form of the state is one of the major problems the Anglophones have. Secondly, the bad treatment that they have been giving them, Maurice Kamto says he is very aware, and that will no more continue in his government. He will make sure he will satisfy the Anglophones. They are part and parcel of our country. We should be one. He will bring them back as one. But he is totally against those who want to divide the country into two. That is his position. As to the position to whether it's a federal government, it's a decentralized government, it's a unitary government, it is the people who sit on a round table in his government and decide.
Okay.
He will release all political prisoners arrested and locked up in cells and the prisons for them to come out, because the government in place now, and even him, he knows that their claims are real claims. Okay. They are asking for what belongs, that's supposed to be done to them. You don't need to punish somebody when you yourself say his claims are real. Okay. You don't need to punish him in prison. You don't need to be killing him for what he is claiming, which is his right. Okay. We are saying all this will come to an end. Maurice Kamto, come October 7, 2018, if he's put to the power as next.
Thank you very much.
The third president of the republic, he will put an end to the Anglophone crisis by solving the problem.
Thank you very much. But is there something which any of you wanted to ask or say to another candidate here? Yes. Just do that briefly. I begin with you.
Yes, I want to ask my...
Just 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. I want to ask Prof. That I respect so much, the fact, how does he consider the fact that he is here on this set pouring eulogies on the outgoing president, about the outgoing president, about the atrocities in the Northwest and Southwest, when we all know that the problem, the Anglophone problem, is nowhere else. It is not in Buda, it's not in Bamenda, it's not in Akwaya, it is not in Dian, it is not in Kupe Manunguba. The Anglophone problem is in Etudi, because it is the Anglophone problem is Bia.
I said 1 minute.
Yes, I'm concluding. Is Bia because it is a problem of the form of state that, contrary to what others are saying, they are still going to
propose, see what it will be. We are saying is federalism, and federalism is to us is a referendum that the people will decide on federalism that will devolve power to every sector of Cameroon, and Anglophones will have the right to operate their own life the way they like in their area.
Time is up, yeah.
I want to ask the SDF and if possible MRC that we are blaming the CPDM regime to have been aged. I am coming up with the youngest candidate of 37 years. Why can you not, for once, be honest with yourself, drop your ego, pride, and mobilize to support my candidate so that we can manage this country? What is blocking you?
Okay. Prof?
Yes, as I said earlier, in response to my friend Kemlemo's statement, as I said, our campaign, the campaign of President Biya, the campaign of CPDM is a campaign of fact and integrity.
Okay.
Fact number one, it is that the Anglophone problem did not start with President Biya. The Anglophone problem started in 1961. It's good that we know this. And the second thing I want to say is that, and that was before A2D was created, by the way. The second thing I have to say is that if the Anglophone problem has to be solved, which we all hope will be solved, it takes the wisdom, the experience, the temperament, and the will of President Biya as the candidate. That is why we should, on 7th of October, give him a chance, because the only one who has the qualities to solve the problem.
But you're making an observation or a comment.
Yes, I want to ask the minister that what explanation can he give that he himself has put to bed children, he has children, and that he will lead, that is Paul Biya ruled his father, is ruling him, is ruling his children, and he sits here and say Paul Biya should continue because it's lining up some qualities that are in fact are not tenable. In fact, we don't understand why you cannot. Why can't you advise Paul Biya not to have gone into this election? The second question is, even if you wanted a candidate under the CPDM, is Paul Biya the only person in the CPDM?
Okay. Thank you very much. No, don't answer. Don't answer. It's over. Thank you very much. I just said a question. You will answer when we get there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on the set this evening. We're looking forward to being with you again in a fortnight. But join Emirobe Biena next week for Sang Pusang Presidential. Until when we meet again, have a nice time on CRTV.